You're listening to the micro version of the Savage Lovecast. www.savagelovecast.com.
If you're stuck in a relationship quandary, or if you're looking for sexual harmony, well, there's nothing you can't ask on the Savage Lovecast.
The deep state. Man, the deep state goes deep. And the deep state does not fuck around. The deep state is so all-powerful, so omniscient, so all-knowing that they, whoever they are, all those deep state and staters out there, they somehow knew that an assistant wrestling coach at a state university would one day be elected to Congress as a conservative Republican, and that this assistant wrestling coach, who would go on to co-found the far, far, far right House Freedom Caucus, something else the deep state somehow knew would happen, that this assistant wrestling coach would play an important role in protecting Donald J. Trump from being held accountable for colluding with the Russians and stealing a U.S. election. I'm referring, of course, to Representative Jim Jordan, Republican from Ohio. He has been leading the charge on Capitol Hill to run defense for Donald Trump, attacking Mueller, attacking Rod Rosenstein, speaking darkly of the deep state conspiracy to remove Donald Trump from office. And now the deep state has turned its attentions to Jordan. The deep state has taken Jordan down, or trying to. It goes like this. See, Jordan used to be a wrestling coach, and during Jim Jordan's tenure as the assistant wrestling coach at Ohio State University from 1986 to 1994, the team's doctor, a dead dude, died in 2005, named Richard Strauss. That doctor was molesting student-athlete wrestlers. It was an open, not at all secret. Ohio State is now in the middle of conducting an investigation, and Jordan has been accused by 9 of his former wrestlers of knowing about the molestations, knowing about the sexual predation, knowing about the doctor, and doing nothing about it. Apparently, when this team doctor wasn't performing unnecessary testicular exams, a student would come in with a jammed thumb and Strauss would insist on doing a spot check / grope for hernias. The doctor was also showering with the students, some days multiple times. As one former wrestler told the Washington Post, Jordan definitely knew that these things were happening. Most definitely. It was there. He knew about it because it was an everyday occurrence. Now, Jordan denied knowing anything at first. Then, after the number of former wrestlers willing to go on the record began to creep nearer to the double digits, Jordan revised his statement. Sure, he'd heard rumors, but he'd never actually seen anything with his own eyes, other than the team's doctor showering with his male athletes multiple times a day. And what did he hear? Oh, it was just locker room talk. Conversations in a locker room are a lot different than allegations of abuse, Jordan told Fox News. He had some conversations in a locker room. Jordan saunted with his players, but not one of his players formally, quote, reported the abuse to Jordan. A sweaty teenage boy in a towel in a sauna telling you he's being sexually assaulted by one of your coworkers? Doesn't count. Top hat and tails, boys, or it doesn't count. Because if someone tells you they're being abused in a locker room, not an allegation, because locker rooms, at least the ones where Republicans hang out, are magical places where no one means what they say. You don't even have to be in a locker room to benefit from locker room privilege. When Donald Trump bragged about sexually assaulting women, the infamous pussy-grabbing tape, he was on a bus, but it was just locker room talk. Because a locker room, a Republican locker room, is as much a state of mind as it is a physical location. Anyway, the right-wing conspiracy theorists are hard at work blaming Jordan's troubles on the deep state. Decades ago, the deep state somehow knew this obscure assistant wrestling coach at a state university would be elected to Congress and play an important role in protecting a corrupt Republican president. So the deep state placed a sexual predator in that same locker room and counted on Jordan to say and do nothing about it when he was told by half-naked, sweaty teenage boys in a sauna that this was happening, so that one day the deep state could spring this on Jordan years later in an effort to prevent Jordan from protecting Trump. So, the all-knowing, all-powerful deep state could see Donald Trump coming and knew they'd have to take down Jim Jordan to get Donald Trump, but somehow this same deep state and all these deep staters weren't all-knowing and all-powerful enough to prevent Donald Trump from happening in the first place. All right, coming up on today's show, on the micro edition of the Savage Lovecast, tons of your Q's, lots of my A's, and on the Magnum subscription edition of the Savage Lovecast that you can subscribe to at savagelovecast.com, twice as much show and no ads. Sophie Lucindo Johnson, author of the new book, Many Love, joins us to talk polyamory. That's in the Magnum. All of that coming up on today's show. Today's episode is brought to you by Stamps.com. Stamps.com brings all the services of the U.S. Postal Service right to your fingertips. Buy and print official U.S. postage for any letter, any package, any class of mail using your own computer and printer. And right now you can enjoy the Stamps service with a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus postage and a digital scale. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in my code, SAVAGE. That's Stamps.com, click the mic, enter SAVAGE. MeUndies makes feel-good underpants your butt will be proud to wear and you will be proud to be seen in. They will be the most comfortable pair of underwear you will ever own, and to check it out yourself, go to MeUndies.com/savage. This episode of the Savage Lovecast is brought to you by Aptiv. Aptiv produces audio-based workouts created by certified personal trainers, available through a mobile app. New members get 30% off an annual membership. Visit aptiv.com/savage. That's AAPTIV.com/savage.
Hi, Dan. I'm a cis female living in a major East Coast city. I have a question about anal. My partner and I had a son about a year and a half ago, and during birth, I, was sort of injured and had a fissure, and it took me about 6 to 8 months to heal after that. So we used to love anal and haven't done that since we had our baby. And so I'm calling to see if you have any advice about sort of getting back into that mentally, physically. I guess I'm just sort of worried about getting injured again. And I even asked my doctor about it, and she was sort of like, yeah, you should be fine, but I don't know. I think it's just psychological. Anyway, any advice would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much.
Congratulations first on the birth of your son. Sorry to hear about the tearing of your anus during birth, that fissure. Fissures are extremely painful. Some folks, they take a very long time to heal. People can have internal fissures on their internal sphincter. Yeah, fissures are kind of a nightmare. But once they've healed up, you are pretty much good to go again, and according to my physician, no likelier to get another fissure for having had a fissure in the past than someone who's never had a fissure before. Some people, however, are prone to fissures. I don't think getting one fissure during childbirth is evidence that you are prone to fissures. That is traumatic. If you have fissure problems, if you're prone to fissures, it probably means you need to lubricate more. Even when you're not using your anus for play, you probably need to moisturize and lubricate. Fissures happen most often to holes that are dry or too dry or not wet or not lubricated enough or stretched too quickly without enough lube. So this is largely, as you correctly identify, caller, kind of a psychological hang-up. You're worried, you're nervous, and rightly so. A fissure is fucking painful. So what you want to do to get back into anal play is ease into it slowly. What you did, hopefully, the first time you began to explore anal play. You didn't go from never having put anything up your butt before to a dick slamming in and out of your butt 2 minutes later. You engage in anal stimulation and anal play and anal pleasure without going right to anal penetration. If you didn't do it that way the first time, that's the way you should have done it. That's the way I recommend people generally do it when they start out with anal play. Don't start with penetration, start with play. So for you, caller, what I would recommend is get a vibrator. Do some rimming. Do things that aren't penetration but are pleasurable. And have a few orgasms while you're doing non-penetrative anal stimulation and play to make a new association, to carve a new groove, a new neural pathway that tells your brain, despite the fear and terror and pain of the fissure months, that we are in a new butt era, an era of butt pleasure. And then gradually ease back up to penetration. Not dick at first. Start with a toy, a butt plug, a vibrating butt plug, something that you can set and forget, and then do the other things that you enjoy with your husband and continue to reinforce that message for the reptile part of your brain that we are returning to the days when my butt was a playground and not a crisis in the ER.
Hey, Dan, 20-something from the West Coast. I have a question about open relationships. My partner and I are in a committed monogamous relationship. He's about 20 years older than me and is open to the idea of bringing in a unicorn. Even with the slight mention of allowing us to bring in a guy, or even a couple, he shuts it down immediately. When I voice my opinion on that not being equal, he says he would rather us just forget about it altogether. He's been hurt in the past by a girlfriend cheating on him, so psychologically I understand why he's sensitive to this. I just feel like I owe it to myself to explore my sexuality and to not look back and have regrets later in life. I don't think it's right for him to want me to have a woman ready to fuck him anytime he wants, but he's ready to break up if I even mention the opposite sex. I don't know if this is something that I want, but I want to feel like it's a safe place to explore the thoughts I'm having with my partner. Any advice on how to proceed?
I'm not sure there's a proceed that will help you. This is an impasse. Somebody's going to have to pay the price of admission, and it's going to have to be you if you want to stay in this relationship. Another dude in the bedroom is a hard and absolute limit for your partner. You can reason with him. Logic is on your side. Justice, cock justice is on your side. But if he can't go there, and a lot of guys in open relationships can't go there because of gay panic, because they are insecure. You know, people talk about women being the jealous ones and women being the insecure ones, and yet most open relationships where the couple is seeking a unicorn, the opposite sex straight couple is out there seeking a unicorn. It's girl unicorns only. Not because the girl in the relationship doesn't want to sit on another dick, but because the guy in the relationship is too insecure and too jealous. And yet we run around saying women are the insecure, jealous ones. And if we took just straight couples in open relationships seeking unicorns as a case study or an example, it would seem to indicate the opposite, that men are the jealous and insecure ones, at least when it comes to watching their partners sit on somebody else's dick. Sorry, I can't offer you much constructive advice. If you throw down have to be open to another dude as a price of admission, he's already told you that it's over. Either you have to close the relationship up again or end the relationship. So that's the price of admission he's demanding from you. If you throw down and say, we have to be open to a guy or I'm gone, well, then someone's going to have to call the other's bluff. Someone's going to have to be prepared to walk. So how bad do you want dudes to be considered for the unicorn position in your life? Do you want that badly enough? Do you want to explore your sexuality badly enough that you're willing to end this relationship in order to do so? That you framed it around your need to explore your sexuality in your mid-20s, which may mean if exploring your sexuality is really, really important to you and sleeping with other men in addition to your male partner, this male partner or another male partner to be named later is really important to you, you may need to get out of this relationship. This episode of the Savage Lovecast is brought to you by MeUndies, the best goddamned underpants on the planet, maybe even in the universe. Why aren't they in your pants? You can get incredible underwear sent to your door with MeUndies, meaning no more hunting around for the perfect pair at a crowded store and eventually settling for good enough. MeUndies are made with sustainably sourced material from beechwood trees. Their naturally soft fiber makes a fabric that won't sag or ride up. Trust me, once you've put on a pair of MeUndies, you'll get it. Their designs are downright adorable. Right now they have a rainbow unicorn pattern that will resonate, I believe, with many of my listeners. MeUndies is so sure you'll love their first pair that if you are not happy, they will do whatever they can to get you into the right pair. And if they can't, keep them and they'll refund you. So it really is risk-free to try the best underwear out there ever. And if you're already part of the MeUndies fam, tell your friends about it through their referral program. They'll get a discount and you'll get store credit. Win-win. And MeUndies has a deal for my listeners. First-time purchasers get 20% off their first pair of MeUndies and free shipping. That's 20% off plus free shipping and a guarantee that you and your MeUndies will be very happy together. Get your butt over to MeUndies.com and treat yourself to a pair of that unicorn pattern rainbow underpants. They're so adorable. To get 20% off your first pair, free shipping, 100% satisfaction guarantee, and unicorn underpants, go to MeUndies.com/savage. That's MeUndies.com/savage.
Hi, Dan. I'm a 21-year-old bisexual cisgendered male living in a metropolitan area in the Southeast. And I'm struggling with a little bit of cognitive dissonance between my sex life and my personal life. In my personal life, I'm very committed to progressive politics and activism. pursuing a degree in college that would further that, have worked as an activist and for nonprofits and for political campaigns, and very strongly consider myself a feminist, and obviously as a part of the queer community, someone who fights for those rights and for minority rights. In my sex life, I am really so I mostly sleep with women and more femme guys. I'm really into dominating my partner, degrading them, calling them bitch, slut, whore, choking them, spanking them, slapping them, tying them up. Generally being pretty misogynistic, maybe. I don't know if that would be misogynistic. And I'm feeling cognitive dissonance with that. All of my partners are progressive politically as well. And this is something, we talk about, what are you into? And then I kind of bring up the topic, well, I'm into degrading and more rough stuff, and they're into that as well. So it's consensual. Still feel kind of weird and icky about it. I don't know if that's me being sex negative or what, but I would love to hear your take on it.
I would refer you back to the interview we did last week, I believe it was, with Justin Lay Miller. Tell Me What You Want is his new book. He's a sex researcher, Indiana University, and writes a terrific column about sex. And during our conversation, we discussed, as we have frequently discussed on this program, that a lot of people have sexual fantasies that would seem to be in conflict with their politics, with their feminism, with their gay pride, with whatever it is. And that this is not a bug in someone's feminism or someone's sex life, but it seems to be a hardwired feature that for a great many of us, when we get into bed, when we play, and sex is play, we enjoy transgressing not just against taboos or norms, but transgressing against the person that we genuinely and authentically are. In your case, progressive, feminist dude turned on by misogynistic play with a consenting partner who enjoys it every bit as much as you do. And although you're 21, I'm going to assume you're good at this and you get specific consent every step of the way. There are some people who like to be dominated and call a slut, and there are some people who like to be dominated and called slut, but do not like to have their faces slapped. There are some people who are into humiliation but not degradation, or into degradation but not humiliation. And you have to learn the line between those things as you learn how to be the best top for a particular sub in a BDSM or DS encounter or relationship. And hopefully you're taking your time to get to know someone, and you are using baby steps and your words and communicating so that you don't wind up in bed with someone who has consented to a rough outline of the rough sex that you enjoy and wind up traumatizing that person because you pull a specific move that you didn't negotiate with them and discuss. That's where you can get into trouble. You're not going to get into trouble being a feminist who's kinky. There are lots of feminist women out there who are kinky. One of the most common fantasies among women, we like to call it here on the show, ravishment. Not necessarily a rape fantasy, often called a rape fantasy out there in the world, where someone fantasizes about being taken against their will. But of course, in a ravishment fantasy, you're being taken, quote unquote, against your will by someone that you would like to be taken by and overwhelmed by. And just as we can't say to all those feminist, strong, powerful women out there who, when they get into the bedroom, want to toy with, play with, pretend, cops and robbers for grown-ups with your pants off, pretend that they are slutty, submissive babes. We don't say to them that you can't be a feminist, disqualified. Well, we also then, on the flip side, can't say that to men who examine their motives, who interrogate themselves to make sure that their kink isn't bleeding over into their politics or into the way they treat women or anyone else outside of a sexual encounter, a consensual sexual encounter that has been exhaustively negotiated. If it involves kink play, we can't say to those guys, well, you can't be a feminist if you're into those things. If we're not saying to women, well, you can't be a feminist if you're into those things. Most of the people that I find who are saying you can't be a feminist if you're into those things are feminists who are into those things. It's not sex writers. It's not therapists or shrinks or counselors. This is the problem that people have with themselves because they think these are irreconcilable somehow. And in actual fact, they're very reconcilable. Because often, again, in bed, we want to be the opposite of who we are. We want to transgress against the self, the genuine, authentic self, and play at being someone else. You are not, if you're doing BDSM right, abusing anyone. You are doing with a woman something that woman would like to do with you. You are enjoying a little drama that you two created together that turns you both on, that gets you both off. And if you're thoughtful about compartmentalizing that, about consent, about respect, about boundaries, about not renegotiating in the middle of the scene, please don't do that. If you're conscientious about respect, about consent, about boundaries, there's nothing unfeminist about the shit that you enjoy doing in bed with women who enjoy doing that shit with you. This episode of the Savage Lovecast is brought to you by Aptiv. Aptiv produces audio-based workouts created by certified personal trainers available through a mobile app. Aptiv offers expert trainers for the best results and motivation, a flexible audio workout format so you can work out the way you like, and a variety of classes and levels to keep you engaged. Whenever or wherever you like to work out, at the gym, at home, outside, when you're traveling for business, Aptiv is ready to go along with you with their mobile app. It's like having a personal trainer in your pocket. Aptiv's in-house music production team partners with every trainer to create music playlists that are perfectly timed to the intensity and pace of your workout. When you need that extra boost, the music keeps you going and motivated. When you're ready to slow down, the intensity of the music dials down with you. They have 5K, 10K, half and full marathon training programs and a supportive community full of Aptiv members of all levels reaching their fitness goals just like you. Sometimes when I'm at the gym, I look around and wonder who else is using Aptiv. Subscriptions start at $14.99 billed monthly or $99.99 for an annual membership. For a limited time, new members get 30% off an annual membership, which is just $69.99 for the whole year of unlimited workouts. Visit aptiv.com/savage to get Aptiv and get that discount. That's aaptiv.com/savage.
Hi, I was just calling because we've gotten 3 bad Supreme Court cases, and I'm wondering how the hell do you deal with this? Like, I just paying attention to politics is making me crazy, and I have the privilege to be able to step out because it's not affecting me as much. But the Union case, the Janice case, I was just curious, how do you deal with the insanity? Like, have you drank yourself to death, smoked yourself to death? Like, how do you cope?
If you visit the Anne Frank Museum in Amsterdam, the hiding place, the attic where Anne Frank and her family and another family hid from the Nazis until they were discovered, ratted out, you will see in the corner of the attic where Anne Frank's bed was, on the wall over where her bed had been, photos clipped out of magazines of movie stars. People need escape. People need fantasy. People particularly are in need of it in dire times. People didn't stop making art and music and theater. People didn't stop telling jokes during the Second World War. Even people in very dire circumstances, continued to find pleasure and joy where they could. In fact, they needed to. And our circumstance at this moment does not compare to what the Jews of Europe were going through in the 1940s by any measure. Yet, I'm pivoting from Anne Frank to you gotta find joy and pleasure where you can for your sanity, and that is okay. And it is not a betrayal of the resistance if every once in a while you need to step back from pussy hat knitting and marching and sign making and campaign contribution donation making and just take a night to get stoned and hang out with friends, or have some wine and hang out with friends in a park and declare a moratorium on political conversations, which is difficult right now because somehow every conversation winds its way back to Trump at some point. Declare a moratorium on it, everyone in power to shut that down when that happens, and focus on other shit. And that will revive you for the fight. So you're not walking away from the resistance when you do that thing, when you check out for a minute to recoup, to revive yourself, charge your batteries. You're preparing yourself to resist faster, longer, and harder tomorrow. So how am I keeping my sanity right now? Watching a little television. I'm smoking some pot every once in a while. We are having fags over to play cards with phones put away and conversation restricted to non-political topics. And it's working. Not that I'm distracted 24/7 from our national and international calamity, but I'm better prepared the next day to get up in the morning feeling empowered and charged up, feeling like there's joy in my life, so my life is worth defending and fighting for. And I would recommend that all y'all do the same. And don't let anybody guilt trip you. Oh my God, lefties and their guilt trips. How could you go see a movie at a time like this? How could you have joy or pleasure at a time like this? You must go see a movie at a time like this. You must take time out for joy and pleasure at a time like this, or you will not survive a time like this. The U.S. Postal Service is an important tool for any business. They reach every household every day. And Stamps.com brings all the amazing services of the U.S. Postal Service right to your fingertips. Buy and print official U.S. postage for any letter, any package, any class of mail using your own computer and your own printer in your own home. Stamps.com makes it easy. They'll even send you a digital scale that automatically calculates exact postage, and it can help you decide the best class of mail based on your needs. There's no need to lease an expensive postage meter and no long-term commitments. And if you're running a business that requires frequent mailing, it's incredibly convenient and makes so much sense. Right now, you too can enjoy the Stamps.com service with a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus postage and a digital scale. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in Savage. That's Stamps.com, click the mic, enter SAVAGE for a 4-week trial plus postage and a digital scale.
Hi, Dan. Just calling with a question about a long-distance relationship. I just got married in May of this year, and my partner and I were lucky enough to go on a quick honeymoon. We work in the theater industry, so quick honeymoon, and then had to split up for 7 weeks. He is in a living situation with a roommate, so we cannot have phone sex or even Skype very frequently. I'm just wondering what the best way to go is. He doesn't want me to use porn. He's not interested in having, again, the phone sex or anything online because of his living situation. And it's 7 weeks apart after just getting married. It's a very difficult situation. I'm not quite sure what to do.
Do what you got to do to stay married and stay sane. And if that means watching porn and then telling somebody, no, honey, of course I'm not watching porn, then watch a little porn and tell that person, no, honey, of course I'm not watching porn. I think that is a permissible little white lie. The only solution that works in a porn conflict relationship where one partner wants to watch porn or is watching a little porn and the other partner hates porn and doesn't want their partner watching porn and demands that their partner not watch porn is that the porn watching partner pretends that they don't watch porn, covers their tracks, makes a good faith, conscientious effort to cover their tracks, and their don't watch porn ever partner pretends to believe them when they say that they're not watching porn. And if that partner, the no porn partner, stumbles over evidence every once in a very great while, they have to give the porn-watching partner some credit for the effort that they went to accommodate them. The effort that they made to cover their tracks was a form of consideration. So watch some fucking porn. And this excuse as to why he can't Skype with you, I've had roommates. I was never handcuffed to my roommates 24 hours a day. There was plenty of downtime and plenty of alone time. So I don't believe him when he says he doesn't want to do this because of the roommate. I think that's a dodge, but it's understandable. Rather than tell you I'm not going to do this because I'm not comfortable with it or I'm insecure, I have hang-ups, because a lot of people don't want to admit to the hang-ups that they have rather than just being honest about them. He blames some outside force. Well, I would if I could, but I can't because I'm handcuffed 24 hours a day, fugitive style, to my roommate, which is not true. So he's lying to you. Just a little bit, little white lie, a little permissible dodge, because he can't quite face up to discussing his hang-up with you. And I think you're allowed to tell a little white lie, a little dodge back at him. These 7 weeks, honey, I am not watching porn. I promise you, I am not watching porn. And then delete your browser history 7 weeks and a day from now.
Hi, Dan, 25-year-old straight male in Little Rock. My girlfriend and I have been dating for 5 years. And a couple years ago, we decided to try an open relationship. And that time, it was my idea. And I was not very good on following guidelines and was kind of not great. And so we ended up talking about it, ended up ending the openness of it, and then fast forward to now, and she's never dated anybody but me, and our relationship's been great up until now. So she brought up the idea of a relationship, and at first I was like, oh yeah, of course, whatever. So we started doing it, and then I started getting really jealous because she's been seeing this guy, and our sex life has been kind of in a lull. And when she sees me, I can tell she's kind of not as excited to see me as she was before. And then I've also been having a lot of anxiety about it recently, and been kind of taking it out on her. And I know that's been driving a wedge between us, and I've been trying my best to not take it out on her. And so so she left for a week to visit one of her friends out of town, and I kind of came up with the idea of either staying here and trying to work the problem out with her, or potentially moving for a while and giving her the space she needs. It's been kind of difficult to give her space when we live together and whatnot, but also I don't want to lose her. We talked about living our lives together and whatnot, so
Together since you were 20, 19 or 20. You opened the relationship a couple of years ago at your instigation. You promptly shat the bed, broke the rules, whatever they were, closed the relationship back up a couple of years ago, and now you're open again at her instigation. I don't think openness is always a sign of end times, but openness combined with contempt, openness combined with inconsideration, openness combined with the distinct feeling that you have been deprioritized, or the distinct feeling that your partner is not as excited about seeing you as they used to be. Now, poly folks and people in open relationships talk about NRE, new relationship energy. And the question that you need to ask yourself is this feeling that you have where she's not as excited to see you as she is excited to see this other guy that she's dating, is that because she doesn't love you, doesn't want to be with you, isn't excited by you, or is it because your long-term 5-year thing can't compete in the NRE department, new relationship energy department, with her new thing? Is she crushed out on this guy? Is she infatuated with this guy? Is she excited about him in a way that she once was excited about you and never, ever will be excited about you again in the same way? Because you can't have NRE, new relationship energy, with somebody you've been with 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. If you can't handle being with someone who's NREing all over the place, who's excited about this person, not just that they had sex with that one time because you're in an open relationship, but this person that they are dating and seeing because you're in a polyamorous relationship that allows for romantic connections. Maybe polyamory is wrong for you, and maybe what your girlfriend and you are attempting right now isn't open, it's poly. And what you've learned about yourself, watching her date and be infatuated with and excited by this other guy in a way that she once was excited about you but never will be excited about you in the same way ever again, is that poly's not right for you. Maybe openness is. Maybe you are capable of being open now that you're a little older, a little wiser, a little bit more mature without shitting the bed. But I think you and the girlfriend need to have a serious conversation about what you're doing here and what it means and whether you're misreading signals. Maybe she's not excited to see you because she's done. Or maybe she's not as excited to see you as she is to see him because NRE. And she's just as much in love with you now as she has ever been. Maybe she loves you more now because being in love with you and being committed to you means she can have you and have this too, which a lot of people in open and poly relationships talk about. That one of the benefits, one of the things that they're so grateful to their partners for in the long-term committed relationship, is that they can have new loves and feel those feelings that people in monogamous, committed, closed relationships of many, many decades don't get to experience again and again and again unless they transgress, unless they cheat. And in the poly relationship that allows for it, you don't have to cheat to go have that feeling again. So I think you need to tap the brakes. I think you need to reconnect with your girlfriend. If this relationship is going to survive, you may even need to shut this thing down again until you're in a more secure place. And you're on the same page about what will work for you guys. And that might be open, which allows for sex with others, but not relationships with others. Not ongoing connections with others, not romances with others, or poly, which allows for all that, and allows for NRE, which for some people in committed open relationships can be a little scary, because indeed it is something that your partner will have with others that they once had with you, but will never have with you again. If that makes you jealous in a way that you can't handle, well, then you can't handle the poly.
Hi, Dan. I am a straight female with a small family on the East Coast. And I was calling today because I had a question for you about another family we recently befriended. My husband and I are new to this very suburban landscape on the East Coast. We recently moved away from Brooklyn, New York with our very two small children. We have 2 under 2. And we met this super great family through a app for moms to find other moms with similar age kids and interests. And over the last few months living here, we've really gotten close to this family, and they've been really wonderful. A couple weeks ago, they actually came out to us. They said since we'd been becoming better friends, they wanted to let us know that the dad was actually a transgendered man and had grown up female. And I guess they just wanted us to know because they didn't want to hide anything about their lives. And I thought that was really great, and we were really excited that they felt comfortable sharing that with us and that they wanted us to be a part of their family story and kind of have a more honest friendship with us. And, in coming out to us, they said, if you have any questions, about this, let us know. And I just felt really uncomfortable asking questions because I felt like the questions I had were nobody's business but theirs. But every time we get together, I'm kind of looking for like an entry point to ask some of the questions I have. I'm just curious, when did they, meet? And was he transgender before they met? Or, had he, identified as male before they met? When did she find out? Was that something, and, how did they choose to make their family? Because they have 2 small kids. And I don't know, I do have all these questions, but I kind of feel like it's not my business. Do you think it's okay to ask even though a couple weeks have gone by? Or should I just enjoy their friendship and let them open up to me about those things if they ever choose to?
When you said that you had questions that you wanted to ask, but they seemed too personal, I thought you were going to cite, when you rattled off a couple of those questions, the questions that a lot of trans people object to being asked, which is questions about surgeries and bottom surgeries and the configuration of their genitalia and whether they kept what they had and changed everything else, or whether they got what's commonly referred to as bottom surgery. That question offends a lot of transgender people because it reduces gender to genitals. And one of the lessons in the transgender experience is that ain't necessarily so. Genitals are not necessarily determinative. But then you rattled off the questions that you wish to ask this couple that you've gotten to know in your new community. Your kids are friends, and the questions that you tossed off, particularly the first one, is so innocuous. It's the kind of question that couples ask couples that they're getting to know all the time. When did you two meet? How did you two meet? Tell me about your love story. That's a really common topic of conversation when couples get really close. And I don't think you should shy away from asking that question. Or the other that you mentioned. When did you transition? Your new friend, this guy, told you that you could ask him anything. There are certainly trans people out there who object to being trans 101. This guy volunteered to be trans 101. I think you should take advantage. And you should say in advance, if you ask any question that he finds to be too personal, or you ask a question out of ignorance, that you hope he won't be angry and you hope he will educate you. And then have that convo. Have the convo that you were invited to have. And that first question, the first one that you can lead with, how did you two meet? When did you two fall in love? How did you make your family? That's a question you can ask any couple that you're getting to be friends with, trans or not. And you shouldn't be shy or self-conscious about asking those questions.
Hello, Dan. I am a 33-year-old straight male. I have been in an amazing relationship for the past 6 months with a woman I've known since we were kids. Yesterday was her birthday, and we went out drinking. I caught her flirting, and I called her out on it, and I don't think it was a big deal, but we were drinking pretty heavy, and I got really angry about it, and her friend came over to talk to me, but I turn around, and there's a group of guys, and they're all surrounding her, and she's just dancing. It seems really out of character for her, but I lost my cool. I went over there and I plowed through the mess, and I put my hands on her, and just under her neck where it meets the chest, I pulled her in and I said, "You're now single," and I pushed her aggressively. That relationship's over, but I'm looking for a way to move past this. It's a day later. I've already signed up for therapy classes. I don't usually have problems like this, and maybe it's drinking, or she's not going to talk to me, and I pretty much accepted that. It sucks, but I don't want to be that person. I'm disgusted that I was or am. I don't know. I'm all ears because I want to be a good man. I want to be a good guy.
You worry that you're going to be that guy who abuses women, that violent boyfriend or husband. And I don't think that you're going to be that guy, because those guys who are that guy, their reaction when they violently assault their girlfriend and their girlfriend breaks up with them is typically not to seek out the help of a therapist. It's not to look at the amount of drinking they're doing and begin to ask themselves tough questions about whether they should be drinking at all. It's to continue to pursue the girlfriend. It's to go to the girlfriend and escalate the violence, as all too often happens, or go to the girlfriend and self-flagellate and tell her how terrible you feel and this isn't who you are, and make flowery promises about how you'll change, and manipulate the girlfriend because you feel so terrible about what you did into comforting you, or the ex-girlfriend into comforting you and taking you back. And you didn't do that. That is a very good sign. That is a sign that there's hope for you. That you don't have to be that guy you were in that club that night. You don't have to continue to be that guy forever. You don't have to be that guy. And you might not be that guy. You don't have to be or continue to be that guy you were in the club that night, because you're going to get help. Not to win her back, not to woo her back. That is over. You shat that bed. You are not getting into therapy. You're not going to go take an anger management class. You're not going to, as I think you should, give up drinking to win her back. This is not a strategy. This is to repair yourself. So the next time you have a girlfriend, the next time you're in a relationship, married or partnered, and you're unhappy about something that your partner is doing, that you don't use your fists and you don't grab anybody by the throat. You use your words. Like I said, I have hope for you. You didn't do what that guy does in the wake of behaving like that guy. You didn't run after her. And you recognize that this shit is yours. That this is your problem. And that you have to, for you, fix it, or it will screw up every relationship you will ever be in. So, get thee to that therapist, go. Get thee to an anger management class, and get thee to whatever alcohol treatment program works for you. Some people that's AA. AA is a little magic sky friends for me, but it works for a lot of people. Maybe it'll work for you. A person can't self-correct without self-awareness. You sound self-aware, and I'm confident that with the help you are seeking, you can self-correct.
Hey, Dan. I am 33, cisgendered, straight-ish female, and I've kind of got myself in kind of an anxious tizzy right now. I've been dating a guy for about 7 months, and it's been a really fantastic relationship. It's slowly built over time, like intimacy and openness and honestness, and we actually went through a couple of things about 2 months ago that really brought us closer together with being more open and honest about who we are in our relationship. And I opened up to him about an abortion that I had that ended my long-term relationship. This was a couple years ago. I didn't tell him that I was married to that person, and I actually told a lie. I said that he'd broken off our engagement twice. Part of that is true. He did break off our engagement twice before we ended up just eloping. And then when I got pregnant, it all went to shit, and we got divorced. We separated and then got divorced about a year later. So today, the other day, he was joking around about asking me to marry him. And I started digging around online, and I was like, okay, well, what are the steps you have to take to get remarried? Well, you do actually have to present a divorce decree, and I'm not particularly proud of the fact that I haven't told him that I was married. I really don't know why that was ever a block. I don't know why I didn't tell him from the beginning. He's seen stuff with my married name on it and hasn't asked me about it, strangely. So I don't really know what to do. I don't think he's going to propose to me anytime soon. We've only been together for about 7 months, but he's talking about it. He's thinking about it. I know I need to come clean. I don't know if you can tell on the call, but my voice is shaking because I'm just so nervous about this and thinking about having to actually do this. I mean, it was a big deal telling him about the circumstances of my abortion, but this is a potential, relationship killer. And there's been some other stuff that he's revealed to me that's been really big, and I've revealed stuff to him that's been pretty big, but this feels almost insurmountable, and I really, really, really don't know what to do.
You're 7 months into this relationship. It's a new relationship. You're not 17 years and 7 kids into this relationship. Just say it. Say that relationship that I was in, that we've talked about, that ended, that was actually a marriage. And I think you might know that because you've seen some things rattling around in my apartment with my married name on it. And he probably does know it, and it's just waiting because he's not an idiot. Hopefully he's not an idiot. Hopefully you, like everybody else, looking for a partner with some common sense and good judgment. He knows, most likely, and he's just hanging back and letting you disclose things about your life pre him on your timetable. So tell him. If I'm wrong and he doesn't know and he is offended and freaked out that you weren't completely transparent and proactively disclosing absolutely everything about your pre-him life by the first month or third month or fourth month or fifth month or whatever his arbitrary cutoff might be, and he leaves, well, then he's kind of nuts. And good fucking riddance. He told you at that moment when he freaked out, if he freaks out, which I don't think he will, about the fact that you were married to this person that he already knows that you were in a relationship with before, that he's not someone you want to waste any more of your time on. But I don't think that's what you're going to learn about him. I think what it will reveal is that he's not an idiot. That's one of the reasons you like him. And that he already knows. And share with him your anxiety. Share with him your fear. And that you kicked the can down the road a little, and then it was 7 months down the road, and now you feel just very self-conscious about making this disclosure. And if he's the loving, decent guy that you believe him to be, he'll understand. And he will comfort you in that moment and tell you that it's not a problem, that it took you a little while to feel comfortable and secure enough with him to really open up to him. And he should look at that moment of disclosure as you opening up to him, as your relationship stepping up to another level. And he should really look at that moment as a positive sign, as a good thing, as evidence that you're reaching the stage of the relationship where you're just putting all of your cards on the table. And you're not disclosing war crimes. You're not letting him know that there are 10 dead Boy Scouts under the floorboards of your house. You're sharing with him something that a lot of people have in their past, a failed relationship, a first marriage. It's not that big a deal. Tell him today.
Hey, Dan, I think you missed the mark with the guy whose girlfriend doesn't initiate because she's submissive. Just another option for him is for her to let him know that she wants it by giving him some kind of signal. I mean, like you could do, put a necktie on the door, whatever, some visual symbol that he will see and know she's into it, and then he can initiate because she might want to be desired, right? A lot of us chicks like that, and we want our partners to do the initiating because we want to feel desired. And so I can't imagine, I'm quite submissive, and I'm usually in that posture. I can't imagine going and getting on my knees and asking for it because what if they say no? And you want your partner to be able to say no. So instead, let her tell him that she's horny and wanting it, and then maybe that'll, then he can initiate, or maybe they can find a way that, if that turned him on and it was a guarantee she was going to get some, I would say go for it. But if he's going to potentially say no, don't get her on her knees. That would just be humiliating.
I'm calling regarding episode 610, the woman who's dating the autistic guy who's bad in bed. I'm an autistic guy. Fortunately, I don't think I have his problem about being bad in bed. My partner seemed pretty happy. having said that, I've got a lot of experience with autism, and one of the biggest things about dating somebody with autism is we're really easy to communicate with, I think. Just use your words, be blunt, be honest. Just say, hey, I really like you, and I want to help teach you how to satisfy me in bed as best as possible. Give him pointers. Hell, maybe be on top and take charge a little bit and show him what you want, teach him what you want. And I'll bet you he'll be more than happy to learn and be receptive to all your tips and tricks that you want him to perform on you.
Hi, Dan. This is in response to episode 610, the question from the guy who wanted his partner wanted him to give her a porn star fucking. I just want to say that I recently got a porn star fucking from a guy's fingers. What's really great is that you can get on top of her and fuck her with your fingers just as you would use your cock for as long as until your arm gets tired. And it looks to her like you're fucking her. So maybe give it a shot.
And we're going to leave it there. 206-302-2064 is the number here at the Savage Lovecast. If you'd like to record a question or a comment for a future show, give us a buzz. 206-302-2064. If you like my political ranting at the top of every week's show, you will love me and Rich Smith and host Eli Sanders on Blabbermouth, the Strangers Weekly politics and news podcast. Get it wherever you get me, wherever you get all the podcasts you're getting. Follow me on Twitter at Fake Dan Savage. Follow Sophie Lucindo Johnson on Twitter at Sophie Lucido Joe. The Savage Lovecast is produced every week by Nancy Hartunian and me and the tech-savvy at-risk youth. And Nancy, we'll be back at you next week with an installment of Savage Lovecast. Thanks for downloading.